Some founders are starting to say something completely unexpected. They're telling me they were less tired when the work they did was manual. Not because manual work was easier, but because the operational load was more consistent, visible, and predictable. Now, workflows that used to take a full day or two are being compressed into under an hour. The output is increasing, drafts are being generated faster, and their teams are moving quicker. But somehow, to the owner, the business still feels heavy. In some cases, much heavier. Today, I want to talk about why AI is making some businesses harder to run and why faster execution does not automatically create operational relief. One of the biggest misconceptions around AI adoption is assuming that faster production automatically creates leverage. Now, sometimes it does, but a lot of service business owners are discovering something much more complicated. AI increased the production speed with automatically increasing things like ownership clarity, accountability, quality conference, all the things that you really want, primarily operational trust. But that creates a new contradiction. Sure, the work moves faster, but the management layer becomes more unstable because faster workflows still require review, interpretation, correction, escalation handling, and ultimately confidence validation, especially when the underlying operating structure was never fully clarified in the first place. Faster work is not the same thing as lighter operations. Now, every week I research a lot of signals, the conversations and comments that people put out on the interwebs. What I keep seeing underneath these signals is not simple AI adoption fatigue. It's operational instability showing up in completely new places. The public conversation around AI still focuses on speed, efficiency, and automation. But inside a lot of founder led service businesses, the experience is becoming more complicated. Workflows are compressing, output is accelerating, and tasks that used to take days now take hours or minutes. And yet, many operators are saying the business does not actually feel lighter. In many cases, it feels harder to manage than before. Now, some founders are saying the mental load of supervising agents feels more exhausting than the original manual work. And that's not a surprise because the work became faster, but someone still has to stabilize the outcome. Ultimately, AI changed where the operational weight lives within the business. It didn't just make things faster, it put more pressure in places that we honestly, frankly, didn't see before. A lot of people are understanding and discovering that AI does not enter a clean operating system within the business. It enters whatever structure already exists. And in many service businesses, that structure still contains fragmented workflows, unclear ownership, inconsistent standards, lots of scattered knowledge. So instead of creating clean leverage, AI often accelerates the unstable workflows. That's why leadership teams pushing AI adoption without mapping end-to-end processes are running into a lot of friction. I see it every day. I go into companies all the time that are using AI for things that would be, quite frankly, easier to just do on their own. But the issue is not simply whether the team adopted AI. The issue is whether leadership clarified where AI belongs. Who owns the output? How does quality get validated? Where does escalation happen? And how does accountability flow through the system? AI is exposing where the operating system was already unstable and none of us really understood it. Now, one of the strangest parts of this shift to AI is that AI often changes where the pressure lives instead of actually removing it. When the workflow speeds up, the drafts arrive faster, and the tasks that used to take hours suddenly take minutes. Now someone has to constantly verify the output, check the context, correct an interpretation, validate the quality, and decide ultimately whether the result can actually be trusted. And that creates a completely different kind of management load. The work itself may be compressed, but the supervision burden expands. That's why so many operators are describing constant context switching fatigue. They're bouncing between human work, AI output, review loops, and it's happening all day long. Interestingly enough, many support systems are still routing back to humans anyway. If an AI support fails a task, human steps in. The workflow gets accelerated, but uncertainty routes upward. The business installs automation, but confidence still depends on someone manually stabilizing the result. That is not operational leverage. And automation that still depends on human rescue is not leverage. It's simply a new escalation layer. And this is where many founders slowly become an operational shock absorber for the system itself. The work may technically move faster, but the business becomes harder to supervise consistently. And that's the friction that I hear a lot of owners starting to feel now. Not because AI failed, but because AI acceleration exposes how much of the business still depends on human coordination under the workflow. And there's also a financial layer to this pressure that many firms are just beginning to feel. Sure, AI may reduce labor time, but it also simultaneously introduces compute costs, usage-based pricing, review overhead, coordination friction, and pricing pressure from clients. A lot of owners are already hearing, if AI makes your work faster, your service should cost less. And that creates a dangerous operational trap for both sides of the equation, because many firms are discovering that faster production does not necessarily reduce the actual management complexity required to deliver what you do consistently. And the people that are using the pressure against you are probably not aware that they are facing the same pressure as you. And in many cases, performance gains are nowhere near the justification of the cost structure being introduced under the workflow. Sure, the labor changed, but the operational burden did not disappear. It shifted. The issue is not whether AI works. We all know AI works. The issue is whether the business can absorb acceleration without destabilizing the delivery. That's the deeper operational question that's emerging from underneath all of this. Because task efficiency is not the same thing as operational leverage. It's on completely different planes of existence. You know, a workflow can compress while management friction expands. A task can get faster while the business becomes harder to manage. And many founders are realizing the real pressure is not coming from AI itself. It's coming from the operating weaknesses that AI is exposing in the business. Now, AI did not create most of these operational weaknesses, it simply revealed them. And the businesses struggling the most are often not the ones refusing to adopt AI. They're the ones accelerating workflows without clarifying things like ownership, accountability, because speed alone does not create leverage, and faster work does not automatically make a business easier to run. For the Entrepreneur Strategic Briefing, I'm Randy Bridges. I'll see you back here next week.